All right, all right, all right. No Matthew McConaughey. That's how it goes around here. All right, let some people join in the chat. It's going to be a short one. Man, I've got some things to explain on why I was not able to stream on Sunday. I had a lot going on. Man, it was a crazy day. But nevertheless, I was able to watch the Super Bowl, pretty much every play. So I got a pretty good review, I think, on the game. But man, what a great game that was! Golly, I mean, it wasn't like a great game. It was just a great game to watch if you're into defense and just domination. And I kind of like those games because it wasn't a total smack around. Um, but I just think that man, the Seahawks defense is legit. And they're really legit. So that's great and all. All right, we're about a minute in. I gotta get rolling out of here pretty soon. But yeah, here we go. Heron's highlights. Happy Thursday to those that celebrate. The name change, but the motive does never change. It just does, never changes. Can't speak apparently, but new crib, new studio. Essentially, we're gonna get a backdrop eventually for next season, so that's gonna be great. It's gonna be a whole different setup. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Really looking forward to it. Let's get some people to join in, and then we'll get started. Here we go. Good stuff, good stuff. I was totally wrong on my pick. I had the Patriots winning like 23-20, something like that. I remember in my head, I was like, all right, they probably won't cover closer to game time, but, in the sense of losing, and they didn't. But, I mean, they'll cover in the plus 4.5 area, but I can't even think, man. Gotta get some viewers in here. I don't know why that helps me. 2 minutes in, nobody there. It's just crazy. I really gotta get like a countdown for the next season. I gotta do that. Big time. We're gonna get started. That's how we go. So, Super Bowl 60 review. The game was played in San Francisco at the Levi Stadium. And so sorry, 49er fans, you were forced to watch your Seattle rivalry, that Seattle team, lift the Lombardi Trophy in your own stadium while beating you on the way to the Super Bowl. So sorry about that, but that's just how the game is. The final score, 29-13, Seattle. Sounds like a very much so of a Super Bowl score because it was just weird. Like, how did it end up like that? The whole thing. Minus 4.5, Seattle covered for sure. Under 45.5, that covered, or that hit. Kenneth Walker III, a.k.a. K9, MVP, so that's fantastic for him. I just found out, too, that it is the first time in Super Bowl MVP, we got a viewer in, welcome. The first time a Super Bowl MVP was not a quarterback since 1998. I'm sorry, first time a Super Bowl MVP as a running back since 1998, which was Terrell Davis for the Broncos, and they beat the Falcons. But congratulations to Kenneth Walker III. He had 161 total yards, 135 on the ground, and 26 in the air on 2 catches. So fantastic job by Kenneth Walker. I feel like we've all seen it here and there, his flashes. And then especially in the postseason, he looked great. He's putting up like record numbers, and it was just great to watch him play because that was just a great running back play. Great modern day running back play of being able to do it on the ground when needed, and in the air when needed as well. Appreciate whoever just liked the stream. God bless you. But yeah, let's get right into it. So the first thing I wrote down was Darnold's experience showed in these big games. Just calm, cool, collected, even though he threw 50%. And then May's inexperience showed / O-line trouble. We'll get into that in just a second. Jessica Timmons 918 says, do you like Pokemon? Kind of. My old roommates did or do. But not really. I'm keeping it real. Not going to lie to you. But I do like football, and I like community, so come join. O-line was the big problem, though. There were 6 sacks given up by the Patriots O-line. And it just showed, showed that there was pressure when there was no pressure sent. They were just kind of getting bullied all around on the edges, up front. It was just kind of a nightmare. Drake May ended up being the leading rusher because of how many times he had to scramble and also There are a few, I think a couple good design run plays, but it was one of those where it's like forced. You know, it's like a second and long, and the defense is playing back more so then he just runs up the middle. So it's just, you know, it was a messy game. The stats look better than it actually was, but if you watch the game, it was terrible. Maria Zamudio, 1942, says, "What's poppin'?" A WSP, I guess, or what's up? And she says, "Hi, hi. How are you? Did you watch the Super Bowl? If you did you enjoy it? Did you watch the halftime concert? Hope you enjoyed your experience." So the final stats for both quarterbacks: Darnold, 19 for 38, 202, 1 touchdown. Drake May, 27 for 43, 295, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble loss, 37 rushing yards. So just terrible, absolutely terrible on his end. Papa says yes. All right, for sure. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, shout out to Papa and shout out to Maria for watching the Super Bowl. Oh, we got some more viewers in. Hello, welcome to Heron's Highlights. We are reviewing Super Bowl 60, going over Seattle and New England and essentially their future. So I think the biggest need right now for the Patriots is to beef up that. Papa says hi, to beef up that O line. You know, just looked inexperienced. You know, give it time. Do I think if the Patriots played the way they did this season, next season, with a different schedule, do I think if they do that, do they make it back into the Super Bowl? No, not at all. I think their road was pretty easy. You know, it's no discredit to them. It's just that's the name of the game. You play who's in front of you, and if you win, you advance. And that's what they did. So shout out to the Patriots for getting the job done. But it's just not going to be like that every time. You know, some teams just kind of sneak in there. Not that they don't belong, but it's just kind of like, were you really the best team in your conference, or did you just have an easier route? You know, all that sorts of things. But I think they got to beef up the O-line, go after a really, really good wide receiver, because I don't think development is – I just don't know if that's a thing anymore as much as it used to be. So go after a good wide receiver and get that O-line right. And I think after that, you're pretty good. You know, Patriots defense looked pretty solid for the most of the game. You know, they got, I think it was the score at halftime, like 9-0, something like that. Like, they were still in the game. And if you're in here, make sure to hit that like button. Really appreciate it. I sub. No, I appreciate that, Papa. But here we go. So Seattle's defense, 3 turnovers, 6 sacks, 1 touchdown. And the touchdown was the cherry on top to solidify that they were going to be Super Bowl 60 champs. And it was a great play to see just because that was, you know, you're waiting for that Super Bowl moment, right? You know, when you're leading the entire game and you're shutting out the defense or shutting out their offense, you're just kind of waiting for that, like, moment. Because obviously the 0-0 is the moment. But that fumble return was real, or that interception, I guess, technically was an interception. That interception was just phenomenal. Great to watch. So shout out to the Seattle Seahawks for that. One more stat for you, and then we're probably going to get out of here because that's really about it. Because next week we will be talking about off-season, what each team needs to do. We'll go by each division and break down what each team in each division needs to do to get to the Super Bowl. You know, some have lists this high, you know, out of frame. Some very small. So it depends on which team it is. But the final stat, we give love to punters out here. Sometimes, you know, not all the time, but sometimes. Michael Dixon, the punter for Seattle, was fantastic. He had 7 punts, 3 inside the 20. I think the average was like 46 or something like that. Yeah, they had really good field position, so I think it was nice for him to get those little, not pooch punts, but, you know, but 3 inside the 20. That's 3 drives that forces the defense or forces their offense to go 80-plus yards. So that's just great. That's kind of like, that's how you win games, you know. You win games with great offense, great defense, and great special teams. And honestly, they don't even have to be great all around. You just really need to have 2 solid sides to be great, and the other side needs to be, you know, better, you know, just better than the other team. And I think Seattle did that on Sunday night. They just showed that they were the better team all around, on offense, on defense, on special teams. But yeah, that's it for Super Bowl 60 review. I'm going to get out of here. That's it for the show. That's a wrap on what was known as Fantasy Blitz, but now, Heron's Highlights, Season 3, Season 4 incoming. We will be returning, obviously, and it's just going to be a whole lot better. So I appreciate those that stuck around. It's just going to go up from here. Really do appreciate y'all. God bless. Be kind to one another. Jesus saves. And